away from your house and letting it go, you can get a loan within about 3 years for an FHA new 3.5% down loan. It only takes 3 years to recover from that. So if you've experienced some sort of foreclosure or default, you can recover.
But still, 3 years is,
it's interesting.
Prefer not to do it.
You prefer not to do it. I certainly don't recommend doing it. If you're thinking about, I have people always who call me and they say, I'm not sure I want to make my payment this month. I'm tired of making some sort of effort to get a hold of my lender for a modification. My lender is reneged on their modification they offered me. I want to walk away. And I tell them, hey, look, this is a big decision. Mm-hmm. And in fact, you want to make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row, because once you do that, you'll have American Express will probably cancel your credit card. A number of lenders will do that as well. Even if you haven't defaulted on those credit cards, they're always checking your credit, and they're looking for people who are going to potentially default on their debts. So it's a very significant thing to walk away from your mortgage. If you do want to walk away, be prepared for at least 3 years. Then, in the meantime, get your credit going with other creditors so that when 3 years comes up, you've probably been renting somewhere, you'll be able to qualify again. Mm-hmm. As long as your income is good and you've rebuilt your credit, and really the only major derogatory experience you had was related to that time period, which is now past, you should be able to qualify. Loan programs and terms change all the time, folks, so don't call me in 3.5 years if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have merged and changed their guidelines and now won't make loans to people, or FHA won't insure loans to people. Don't call me and say, hey, you said on the loan show that I could get a loan. I'm just trying to give you some friendly suggestions here. Again, welcoming your calls. We're at 636-1350, 636-1350. Let's talk about the alternatives to walking away from your house. Let's talk about how to keep your house. A lot of people went through over the last few years and tried to modify their mortgage unsuccessfully. I'm a big proponent of the idea of I'm a big opponent of the success of a modification. I'm just a pessimist about it. They just don't work. Only about 10% of modifications were successful. HAMP claims to have helped hundreds of thousands of people, but the kind of loan programs people were getting modified for the most part were 5-year term loans. I know people that got 2-year term modifications, and then it went back to an adjustable rate, compounded interest on top, capitalized interest on top, the original principal loan balance. Lots of nasty games the lenders were playing. I just recorded a new commercial for our promotions here on the radio, and one of the things I said was, does a lender really have an incentive to modify? Do they really want to create a pathway for a borrower to pay them less money? No, because your lenders are actually not your lenders who you think they are. You think your loan is owned by Bank of America, but more than likely it's not owned by Bank of America. More than likely it's owned by another third party. Mm-hmm. Statistically, that's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. However, I found in this town did a lot of business with portfolio lenders that are no longer in business. And those loans weren't picked up by Fannie and Freddie. World Savings is an example of that. Wachovia took over World Savings. Wells Fargo took over Wachovia, this big chain of people, transitioning from one business card to another. But the loan debt went with the sale of each company. The problem is Wachovia's pickup of World Savings kept that portfolio the same as it was, and there was never any modifications. And then Wells Fargo came in late and started to try and modify people, but they didn't sell any of those loans to Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. They held those loans. Those loans are nasty. These are your option arms. These are terms that people may remember where you had a 1% loan and negative amortization. So modifying those loans, they're not covered usually by HAMP. They're also not refinanceable under HARP. So we ran into a lot of limitations. We're always running into limitations on what people with those situations can do. So that's where you want to see if you can find a way to hold on to your home, do so, maybe rent it out and go buy another house or something, or let the market rise and appreciate over the next 5 to 10 years. If you do have a loan that's owned by Fannie or Freddie, you should be calling a lender like Bay Equity Home Loans. We are a direct lender with Fannie Mae, which means we can put your loan through the HARP program, which is the Home Affordable Refinance program. Save you some money, put you around 4% interest rate, maybe to 4.25%, 4.5%, depending on your circumstances. And if you're underwater on your mortgage by up to 125%, you are likely eligible if your loan is owned by Fannie. So again, give us a call here in the studio, taking your calls at 636-1350, 636-1350. We're with Bay Equity Home Loans. I'm George Adair. You're listening to The Loan Show on KSRO 1350.
To find out more about Bay Equity Home Loans, call George Adair at 707-583-8100. That's 707-583-8100.
Hey there, Sonoma County. If you're paying over 5% for your mortgage, stop and listen to this message. I'm George Adair with Bay Equity Home Loans in Santa Rosa. We're helping homeowners save hundreds every month and thousands every year. We're offering a 30-year fixed-rate loan at 4%. And best of all, it's at 0 points. You heard me right. 4% fixed rate at 0 points. This fixed-rate loan will literally save you tens of thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. Call Bay Equity today at 583-8100. Don't delay. Call us today at 583-8100. We can show you how refinancing into a low fixed rate can save you thousands on your mortgage. Please call 583-8100. And also, ask us about our new refinance program for homes that are underwater. The time for a low fixed rate home loan is now. Bay Equity is your home for loans.
30-year fixed APR 4.12%. Licensed by the Department of Corporations number 6053919. NMLS number 238915. Equal housing lender. Rate subject to change.
Hey, it's time to plant bare root fruit trees, and everyone knows nothing is healthier and tastes better than freshly picked fruit off of your own tree. Come into Urban Tree Farm Nursery and choose from a great selection of the best tasting varieties of apples, cherries, peaches, plums, pluots, pears, and much more. See their homepage for the latest availability. Do you need help in laying out your backyard orchard? Visit urbantreefarmnursery.com and check out their links on how to grow your own backyard orchard. You can also see the latest videos on how to plant, prune, and maintain your own fruit trees. Now is your last chance to plant bulbs for spring blooms. This week only, buy 3 bags of spring blooming bulbs and get 1 bag free. Choose from daffodils, hyacinths, tulips, and more. Although the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, the next best time is now. Urban Tree Farm Nursery. They're not just trees anymore. Like them on Facebook for all of the latest releases, info, and deals.
It's The Loan Show on KSRO with George Adair. Call in with your questions now at 636-1350.
Okay, we have a call from Edna. Edna, thanks for calling The Loan Show. How can I help you?
I wanted to know, how do you know if your loan, I don't think my loan is a Freddie Mae or Fannie Mac. I mean,
It's okay.
you get what I mean. And I don't think it's with them, but how do you find out for sure? You just call your provider?
2 ways to do it. First way is you can just call your provider, talk to customer service, and ask them, is my loan owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac? The other way, if you don't want to wait on hold or talk to somebody in India, is to is to go online and just Google the term Freddie Mac loan lookup or Fannie Mae loan lookup. They're 2 different government agencies, and they have 2 different websites. So you want to look up each one. You'll type in your information, and they'll come back with results. You have to get your address and name and everything spelled exactly the way they would have a record of it. Now, we encourage people to check themselves and call their lender, so do both. I also want to clarify one point on this, and thank you for your question, Edna. People who have a loan with, say, Bank of America, it doesn't mean that it's not owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. It's just serviced by Bank of America. It could be serviced by Ocwen or GMAC, now called Ally. It could be serviced by a number of third-party institutions that are also financial institutions. And so it's important to understand that you are potentially dealing with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac through a third-party intermediary. So that was a great question. It's one that I answer quite a bit. I encourage people to go online, be resourceful and check and see, be proactive. Now, there is, I believe, a second part to that question would be, what if, do we still have Edna?
Yeah.
Hey, Edna, you also wanted to know about if you don't have a loan that's owned by Fannie Freddie, right?
Yeah, I did call my lender at one point, but I didn't ask if I was Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, but I just said, hey, I heard the new program is coming out, and they had said, call back in March. We don't know if we're going to be participating with that, and now I can't get anybody on the phone at all.
Okay, couple solutions there. Give us a call at the office. We'll help you understand what your options are with that. You can call my team at 583-8100, 583-8100, and they'll be able to help you navigate that process. March 19th, the HARP 2.0 guidelines are updated in the automated approval system. And what that means is lenders will then decide whether they want to opt in to be part of the program or not. Some lenders, like Bay Equity Home Loans, have opted in already. We're doing our own manual underwrites. So it depends on who you want to go with. Now, if you want to stay with your current lender, you would, and you have a Fannie Mae Freddie Mac loan, they would have a streamlined process of helping you get the HARP loan if they choose to participate in that. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your call very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. If folks have questions, we're running out of time here today. We do have another minute or so, but if you have questions, there's two ways to pose those questions to me. One, you can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Bay Equity Loans, or you can send me an email at loanshow@ksro.com. Okay, so if I don't get your calls in today, feel free to email me there. The other part of the question is, if you don't have a Fannie Mae Freddie Mac loan, are you going to be eligible for HARP? And that is to be determined. I mentioned in the first show we did a couple weeks ago that President Obama had initiated an effort to push through a provision to HARP that would include loans not owned by Fannie and Freddie. Mm-hmm. Because the government doesn't govern all loans, and they specifically don't govern what we call non-agency loans, Congress would have to approve the process of including non-agency loans into HARP. So if you have a loan that's not owned by Fannie or Freddie, then you may still be able to get some help, and call our office and or email me, and we'll keep you posted when those guidelines come out. It's going to be probably a few months. It's going to be politicized, unfortunately, in the political arena. So you are going to have to be patient on that process. The HARP and HAMP programs are a good effort put out by the government. As I mentioned, they're being politicized. Today, we heard that the payroll tax cut extension was passed, saving an average of $40 for consumers. It's being politicized as well. It's really unfortunate because the cost of that is going to be passed on to new homeowners or loans obtained with Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And that's really unfortunate because there's no direct line or even a dotted line. So I just wanted to point that out. Also want you to go to our Facebook page. I've posted a link about the independent foreclosure review process. There's some good information there. So go to our facebook.com/Bay Equity Loans. Send me an email at loanshow@ksro.com, and be sure to come back and join me next Wednesday and every Wednesday at 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. I'm George Adair with The Loan Show on KSRO 1350. Have a great day.